G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm just taking a break from work, and I thought I'd come down here to the little grassed area in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art, the MCA, and deliver a vlog whilst watching Sydney at its post-pandemic peak, I guess I could say. Sydney is slowly getting its mojo back with people out and about, and if you can see, there's a lot happening down here at the moment. It's springtime, the birds are chirping, the ferries are moving back and forward, there's a bit of breeze in the air, a bit of cloud about, and sadly I need to acknowledge that the flags on the harbour bridge are flying at half-mast in honour of Queen Elizabeth's passing, which happened yesterday. So what I'll do today is I'll do a vlog on a book summary like I normally do, and use this vantage point to keep it interesting, I guess, use it as a backdrop. So the book that I'm going to go through today is a book entitled Live It by an author known as Jairek Robbins. So a book that will take us on a small journey for the next 15 minutes or so, where we examine some of the things that may help us live our life to the fullest and end our lives looking back and saying that we've lived it as best we can and achieved the dreams that we could possibly have achieved in our quotient or quota of life that we had available to us. So the author kicks off this book with a quote where he basically says that every person you get to meet is either an example or a warning, with the question to each and every one of us, what are you? Are you an example, or are you a warning? So the author then goes on through a journey of little ideas, things that we can possibly, I guess, incorporate in our daily lives. And what I'll try and do is step through them one by one and see if there's anything that resonates with us, and talk a little bit more about it as we touch on each of the ones. The first key point that he makes, he talks about a thing called an ideal day vision. And he says that in order to live the best possible life that you can, you first need to think about what your ideal day would look like. What's your vision of your ideal day? And then compare and contrast it to where you currently are. So we need to see where we'd like to be, and then compare and contrast it and measure it against where we currently are, and identify the steps that we need to take, the actions we need to take in order to get from where we are to where we want to be. And another point that he makes, which is a brilliant point, is that we don't need, or we shouldn't be distracted and majoring on minors. What he's basically telling us here is that we don't need to be obsessed with the minor things in our lives. And a lot of people waste a lot of valuable time, a lot of valuable energy in their life focusing on things which aren't all that important. So we need to be focused, and we need to keep our focus, according to this author, on the things which are the majors. So what are the majors? What are the key things, the key elements, the key ingredients in our life that we need to spend the most energy on and keep the most focus? So he says that there's a few of these areas. So the majors, according to this author, Jairek Robbins, are health, emotional intelligence, intimate relationships, family, your professional life, your finances, and your spirituality. So there are 7 majors, 7 segments of your life that will deliver you the greatest outcomes and the greatest satisfaction and the greatest fulfillment. So what his call to action is to sit down, spend some time, and for each of these different majors in your life to rate your current life between a 1 and a 10 and see how you appear on that circle, and then have a look at what you can do to get to a 10 or to have an ideal sort of outcome in each of those major elements in your life. So it is a brilliant exercise that we all need to do from time to time, and we need to continue to do, because our life ebbs and flows, and we are constantly being called to make the most of what we've got at a particular point in time. So the author is basically saying that we need to look at our health, our emotional intelligence, our intimate relationships, our family, our professional life, our finances, and our spirituality, and to honestly rate where we sit at the moment compared to where we'd love to be in an ideal world. And we need to translate knowledge into action. I remember years ago, a friend of mine, his name was John Nematala, and he told me that knowledge is only potential power. There's only potential power with knowledge. You can accumulate as much knowledge as you want throughout your life and still not change anything or be any different or any better. But he said the key to having a better life, the key to being an effective person, a happy person, a productive person, and a fulfilled person in your life is your ability to apply your knowledge, to take the things that you've learnt through your own experiences or through OPE, through other people's experiences, and apply it and use it and leverage it, not only in your life, but also in the life of others around you. The author goes on to say that it's important to find your big why in each of these majors. So, we are all called to action, and we all have a number of calling or callings in our life. So one way that we can consider it and think about it is that each major element of your life can also have a calling that you need to understand the big why. Because understanding the why, understanding the big why, is the emotional rocket fuel that you need in order to make the most of what you have and the situations that you find yourself in. And not only do you have to know your big why, but you need to activate it. Activate your big why, and to activate it, and by activating it, you will overcome the many fears that you have. The author talks about something else here that I haven't really thought about or known in the past, And he talks about a concept of the hard easy versus the easy hard. And he said that if you want to have an interesting and fulfilling life, you need to make choices, and those choices have first, second and third level consequences. But it's important to put in the hard work and to pick the road less travelled and to do the hard things which end up making your life easy, rather than the easy things which end up making your life and the life of people around you much harder. The basic call to action, the thing that we need to do immediately, according to this author, is to fall in love with hard work and to fall out of love with instant gratification. Fall in love with the road less travelled, the hard path, because it's that path that's going to lead you to a better tomorrow. The author also encourages us to finish what we start, to close the loop, and not to be a person who starts lots of things but finishes hardly anything. We need to turn our 6.5s into 8.5s or 9s or 10s. I remember years ago going to an Anthony Robbins seminar, and he said to everybody, where do you rank your life at the moment? Where do you sit at the moment in your life? Are you a 10 out of 10? Are you 11 out of 10? Are you a 5 out of 10? And he encouraged people to sit and think where they currently are, and then to ask themselves the question, what more can I do, or what differently can I do to make my life, or to take my life from where I currently sit at a 6.5 and make it a 7, a 7.5, an 8, or better. And sometimes what you'll find is that by asking these empowering questions, you can identify little things that you can do to make an experience a much better experience for you and a much better experience for those around you. But you need to ask the question. And the author here reminds us that we're always going to be fighting 3 opponents in our lives. What 3 opponents are these? So we're going to have outside opponents, people who don't really know us all that well, people that we come into contact with occasionally, who are going to oppose us, are going to challenge us, are going to make our lives harder for one reason or the other. We are also going to have people who are intimate to us and are going to be our intimate opponents, people who are closer to us, the people who love us, the people who know us really well, our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, our aunts, our cousins, our close friends, people like that. And they're going to oppose us, they're going to challenge us, they're going to either want us to grow or want us to stay where we are. But we also have another opponent, and probably the biggest and most difficult opponent of all for each and every one of us, is the internal opponent, where we oppose ourselves, where we create self-doubt, where we create fear, uncertainty and doubt in our lives, and we basically fight ourselves as opposed to supporting ourselves. So in order to get through life and to get through these opponents, the author here talks about the importance of determining and taking on board our own truth. And truth is a metaphor for a few things. So let's just go through the TRUTH, according to this author, the things that we need to do in order to live a better life. So the author talks about the T, meaning that we need to manage, maintain and fuel our trajectory. I remember years ago when I worked at IBM, I had a boss, a wonderful mentor known I've just forgotten his name all of a sudden. Anyway, it'll come to me. But what he told me one day, he says, James, you need to change what you're doing because you're going to end up where you're heading. So we all are on a trajectory, and that trajectory could either be to a bigger and better place, or it could be to a worse place, a worse destination in our lives. So, and we have a choice. We have a choice to make. We need to sit and look at where we currently are, who we're hanging out with, the thoughts that we have, the habits that we have, and determine and sit and think about whether or not the decision to have these habits, these situations in our lives are going to help us or hinder us. Are they going to be stepping stones to help us grow and develop and become better versions of ourselves? Or are they going to be, like the snakes and ladders, who are going to trap us and set us back in life? So we need to think about these things and try and identify what the ladders are and what the snakes are in order to manage our progress, and to know that the decisions that we make, the choices that we make, are going to have first, second and third level consequences, which are going to either benefit us or to take us backward. So that's the T in our life. So the name of my manager, my mentor at IBM, I've just remembered him, thank God, is Greg Gleason. And he really shook me up and got me on the right path in life, and got me thinking more about being purposeful with what I do, and making better choices that I could actually see and think about the consequences of those actions. The R in truth is all about rebuking the naysayers, basically steering clear of the negative people in our lives, the ones who are just trying to suck the energy out of our dreams, the ones who are there to try and steal one's future by limiting a person's belief in themselves or a vision for their future by the fears that they have, by the fears that they've inherited from their families, from their friends, from the media, from their social circles, because people inherit a lot of those limiting beliefs and habits for other people. Just because your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your relatives and other people weren't successful in a particular field doesn't mean that you are going to be unsuccessful, because we all have a different past, we all have a different present. I am here, you are there, you are somewhere else, you've got a different perspective, and we're all going to have a different future. In a sense, we all have our own fate, and you can have 100 people fishing at a wharf using the same fishing rods, the same lines, the same bait, and not all people are going to catch a fish, but some people are going to catch more fish, some people are going to catch big fish, and it's all a bit of luck. But as we said, each person has their own fate, and you don't know what your fate is unless you test it out unless you give it a go, have a crack, and see where it leads you. So we need to rebuke the naysayers in our lives. The you in truth, in this mnemonic, is that we need to be unified internally. We need to make sure that we clearly understand what our goals are, what our values are, and to make sure that our actions are congruent and in harmony with the values that we've set for ourselves, so that we don't have an internal conflict, that what we do because we know that we're expressing who we are, and what we love about who we are, and are not doing it tentatively, but doing it boldly with strong action to create strong, powerful outcomes. Because as Anthony Robbins says, massive outcomes come from massive action. It's the massive action that you take that delivers the massive outcomes. And if you're doing massive outcomes and you're not getting, if you're doing massive action and you're not getting the massive outcomes that you need, then you can change along the way and change course. It doesn't matter. You haven't failed. You've just learned another way of doing things, or a better way of doing things. The H in the mnemonic of truth is the habits that you have. We need to keep an eye on the habits. We need to make sure that these habits are in harmony and are, as we said before, linked to our values and the vision that we have of our future. And before the H is the T. We need to be tenacious. We need to fight. We need to be strong. We need to be bold. We need to be hard-nosed and not give up on our dreams, and not give up on the things that we've set for ourselves and the dreams that we've built in our lives. So the author then goes on to say that we are not guaranteed a tomorrow. None of us are guaranteed that the hard work that we put in is going to generate the outcomes that we desire. But by the same token, we just need to give it a crack. And if your fate is not going to be celebrated and rewarded, if your fate denies you, then you just need to live with it and to go with the flow and to try something else and keep on going, to try and find your calling and try and find the rewards that you desire in your life. Because at the end of the day, the author says here, people will remember you in terms of how you made them feel. So we need to express gratitude. We need to express our values. We need to be time management experts. And we need to have a live it list. And most importantly of all, we need to live our life. We need to express our calling. And you don't want to live somebody else's life or somebody else's values, because you'll be a fake and you'll end up disappointed and unfulfilled. So we need to create our story. And if the story that you have at the moment isn't your ideal story or the story that you want in your life, then change your bloody story. And the way you change your story is by being aware of yourself, be part of a community, have a global sort of feel, and also tap into your spirituality. We are all called to be our authentic selves, but you also need to raise the standard and to follow a path of constant and never-ending improvement in all of those major pieces of your life, those majors that we talked about before. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club. I need to head back to work now because my lunch break is almost up. I've been talking for 25 minutes or so. But thank you once again, and I look forward to chatting with you on a different topic, in a different location, hopefully. Tonight I'll be down here again to see the portrait of our Queen Elizabeth II projected onto that majestic opera house, and I'll do another vlog. Don't know what topic it'll be, but whatever comes to my head I'll be able to deliver on this solemn occasion. Anyway, take care everybody, ciao for now, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.